everybody, Lord Tremendous here, got another battle report here for you. This is Game 2 of the Owl GT, the online grand tournament I'm a part of, and I've been really enjoying so far. My first game was outstanding. Played a really tough list and got a really good victory off of it. I know, spoilers, but if you haven't watched it yet, you know what? That hurts my feelings. You should go back and watch it. It was a really good game. Anyway, this is a 2,000 point battle. My Ogre Kingdoms versus the Demons of Chaos list. Had a really, really strong opponent, real good guy, had a great game, and I'm excited to show you what happened because it's rare I get to run into demons, and to run into them during a tournament is exciting, and his list was, in my opinion, unconventional and rock solid difficult to deal with. I was on the back foot most of the game. A little spoiler, I know, but it was really intense. So sit back, relax, and get ready to see the carnage. Here's my list, and there's been no changes because it's a GT. I can't make any changes. So I have my Slaughtermaster at 390 points. He's my General, level 4 Wizard with Illusions. Got the Butcher's Cauldron, Grut Sickle, a Blood Cleaver, and the Potion of Strength. Then I've got a Hunter at 194 points. He's my Scout. He's got an additional hand weapon and a Harpoon Launcher, as well as the Armor of Silver and Steel, a Cathayan Jet Pendant, and he has the big name Longstrider. Last but not least is my Bruiser, Lord Tremendous, at 396 points. He's got a Thunder Tusk. He's my BSB. I gave him the Rampaging Manner, so he makes those charges. He's got the Armor of Meteoric Iron, a Talisman of Protection, and the big name Death Cheater. In core, I have 2 Saber Tusks that have the Scout special rule that go with the Hunter, 20 Noblar Fighters, 3 Ogre Bulls butt naked, and 7 Iron Guts with full command, the Bull Standard, and Veteran. Rounding out my army is an Iron Blaster and 4 Mournfang Cavalry with Banner, Musician, the Cannibal Totem, Great Weapons, and Heavy Armor. Alright, so my opponent for round 2 was a Demons of Chaos player, Artenis. This was game 2 of the Owl GT, the online tournament that I'm participating in, and it's been a blast so far. He has 942 points in characters, starting with his Demon Prince, who was his general. He was a Demon of Slaanesh, level 4 Wizard with Demonology, and had heavy armor. No other accoutrements. Then he had a second Demon Prince with Demon of Tzeentch, level 4 Wizard with Battle Magic, had wings, so fly 9, heavy armor, the Aether Blade, and the Power Vortex. And then he had a Herald of Slaanesh, which was a Demonic Locust, or BSB, who had the Banner of Unholy Victory. His core was something else, with 793 points total, starting with 2 units of 7 Chaos Furies. Both were Demons of Khorne, and then a Death Star brick of 50 Demonettes of Slaanesh. That was a scary-ass brick. Unit Champion Standard and the Rapturous Standard. I was not feeling confident about that at all. And then for his rare choice, he had 261 points in 3 Blood Crushers of Khorne with full command and the Great Standard of Sundering. So this was a very small army he had, but incredibly dangerous, like every unit. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. You'll see. The scenario for this one was Chilling Fog of War, which basically, after we deployed, it was the short edges, 24 inches in, with a 24-inch no man's land in the middle. Basically, after all of our scouts, everything was deployed. But before Vanguard, we roll off to see if we want to redeploy any of our units up to 3 in our deployment zone. Kind of neat. You get to rearrange a little bit. It's a gimmick. I didn't care. I don't think I really redeployed anything. But the redeployed units must keep the same formation, and any characters that were deployed in them have to stay in the same location. So it gives you a little bit of a chance to redeploy, to readjust to your opponent, but I mean, we're both playing massive brick armies. There wasn't going to be a whole lot of nuance in how we deployed, so it really didn't affect our game. And then Chilling Fog, this does affect our game, and I'll show you in just a second. But during the first round, all range attacks suffer -1 to hit, magic missiles were at -1 strength, and war machines fire a misfire on a misfire or a 2-inch roll on the artillery dice. It's only for the first round, but I'm pretty sure you can guess what happened. You do choose different types of terrain and the different features that it has. So here's what we ended up with for this game. Temple of the Old Ones. Lots of dangerous terrain, woods, which I was desperately going to try to use in my favor. Here are my spells for this one. I ended up with Glittering Robe, Column of Crystals, Spectral Doppelganger, and the Confusion spell, or as I like to put it, Demanded Stupidity. Here's what my opponent got, and he has a lot more spells than I do. He ended up for his Demonology Demon Prince, Demonic Familiars, Demonic Vigor, Vortex of Chaos, and Demonic Vessel. For his other Demon Prince, I believe it was Battle Magic, he had Oaken Shield, Pillar of Flame, Cowardly Flight, and then he had the other one, Gift of Mutation, which is a Zinch signature spell. Basically, it kills your weapon skill, your toughness, maybe your strength. It's insanely damaging, and it lasts for an entire turn. And yeah, a little foreshadowing on that one. All right, and here's deployment. Like I said, not a whole lot of subtlety. We're playing big break armies that their real skill is slamming into each other and beating the life out of each other. So yeah, it was pretty even there with strategy. So for deployment, on my side, I put the Bulls and my Bruiser together on the left flank, trying to intimidate the Demonettes. He put his Demon Prince in there, the one without flight, so it's totally fine. But I was like, oh man, what I really wanted him to do was have to walk through the woods in order to get me. So I'm like, you know what? If I can get him to fail a charge or two through the woods and cause those dangerous terrain checks, maybe then I'll charge into him. But otherwise, I was going to focus on everything else. The Demonette break has like 6 to 8 combat res before any dice are thrown whatsoever, and a trillion attacks with a Demon Prince, a Herald, I believe, in there, and all the trimmings. I really didn't want any of that unless I was able to throw everything at it all at once. But the Furies, I was going to go after them, so that's why I had the Bulls and the Bruiser over there. I figured if he threw his Furies at me, either of those units should be able to deal with them. I was not too worried about the Furies. You'll see how that goes. In the center, I've got my Iron Guts with the batteries right behind them, just getting ready to do whatever it is they can do. I'm kind of hoping that he goes after my Iron Guts with his Blood Crushers, see how that goes. I have my cannon right there because I've got a lane of fire right down the center. I'm hoping that his Demon Prince comes into range, or at least makes himself a target opportunity so I can try to take him off the map as quick as possible. And then I've got my huge thing of Mournfang. I will charge him through the woods at any target opportunity that I can find, especially if I can get them into the flank of the Demonettes. I think that would be huge. Also, then I've got my Hunter and his Saber Tusks in the back corner there. They're going to try to harass the Blood Crushers as much as possible. Maybe even get a charge off on his Demon Prince. That would be spectacular. For my opponent, our left flank, his right, has got a unit of Furies that did Vanguard up. Then he's got his huge brick of Demonettes with his BSB and a Demon Prince installed, the one without flight, and the one that's, Mark Slanesh. I believe it's his general. Then he's got his other Demon Prince just outside of the woods there next to the unit. He's going to go and try to deal with the Hunter, it looks like. His Blood Crushers are right next to him. And then, again, Vanguarded up a little bit are his second unit of Furies. Yeah, deployment was basic, but I was going to play it passive, not going to lie. Okay, so this is kind of exciting. Here's top of one after movement, and I actually get to go first. I know, I didn't really know what to do either. So, for the most part, I didn't want to go too close to him because, well, I mean, he's still really dangerous, and getting the auto charge didn't feel good. So, on the right flank there, I moved the Mournfang up to just be right up against the woods. I'm hoping that his Blood Crushers have to charge me, go through the woods, potentially take 2 or 3 dangerous terrain checks. Yeah, is he going to fail it? Probably not, but making him roll dice is always best. So I figured, why not give it a shot? Maybe it'll work out for me. Who knows? I was able to get regen and glittering roads off on the Iron Guts, which put me in a pretty good place, mentally. And everything moved up slightly. My cannon, he just moved up a little bit because I was going to take a pot shot at the Blood Crushers because I really didn't have a shot at anything else. The Bulls move up a little bit, as well as the Bruiser. I'm trying to bait the Furies out. I think I'd be able to take him. I'm not 100% on that. And the Hunter, maybe I should have moved him, maybe not, but I left him right where he was to take a pot shot at the Blood Crushers. If I can get rid of those, it puts a lot of pressure on my opponent. He's only got Furies left and a Demon Prince. The big slow brick of Demonettes I can deal with at my leisure. But if I can get rid of the Furies and I can get rid of the Blood Crushers, I have a chance of collapsing on the Demonettes, and that's my plan going forward. Going to shooting, and this fucking Iron Blaster. It was a beautiful shot, right? And you know what? I really shouldn't blame the Iron Blaster. This fucking scenario. I rolled 2 inches, but since this is the first round and we have that scenario factor, 2 is considered a misfire as well. So I misfire 4, and I can't shoot this turn or next. You know what? I'm just gonna have to try harder. I'm just gonna have to earn it this game. That's all. Nothing else happens. The hunter shoots. He hits the blood crushers, but I roll a 1 to wound. And my bruiser, he fires his pistol at the demonettes, but of course fails to hit and wound as well. Like I said, it's going to make me earn it. So here's bottom one after movement. His blood crushers did not have to charge. His furies come up on an angle there. They are an inch away. We made sure of it, and they are out of my line of sight for the Mornfang, which is too bad because I really would like to get rid of them. His furies on the left flank charge into the bulls, and I'm okay with that because only 2 got into combat. That's 4 attacks. He should at most get 2 wounds, but it's a dice game. We'll see what happens. I should have at a minimum 6 attacks back at him, so I'm really hoping for the best here. Other than that, his demonettes come up. His demon prince goes into the woods, passes dangerous terrain, no problem. Blood crushers move up, cautiously, and that's really it for movement. Nothing else happens, so we go right into combat, and yeah, his furies really earn it. Let me tell you, they end up doing 2 wounds, or 2 or 3 wounds. They do 3. They kill a bull outright. I get my 6 attacks back. I end up doing 2 wounds to him, and I have close order. So it's 3 to 3. I don't have a bellower, so we just end up standing right there looking at each other. That could have gone better, but it could have gone a lot worse, and we'll see what happens in future rounds. Oof, this one's brutal. There's a better picture of what it actually looks like after combat and everything like that. He forgot to take off the other 2 in the previous picture. So here you go. Now everybody's visually appeased. With that, here's top of 2 after movement, and I can't catch a fucking break to save my life. My Mornfang needs 6. I needed to roll a 6 in order to hit his blood crushers. Impact hits, all that good noise, possibly even restraining and turning to face his demon prince in the woods, trying to take him down. But no, I can't roll a goddamn number, on 2d6. Yes, I had to take the lowest. Yes, my movement was down 1. That's with my movement down 1. And I rolled like a 4. I was pissed. So yeah, my Mornfang failed this easy goddamn charge and end up taking 3 dangerous terrain checks. We pass all of them, thank goodness. But now I'm in perfect spot for him to easily charge me. Fuck Dice God sometimes. The rest of my stuff, my cannon turns and looks at the Furies. He's going to take a pot shot at them. Why not? Everything else moves up. If you're wondering why things are missing from the Iron Guts and why my Noblars and Iron Blaster are taking wounds, I'll show you in a second. On the left flank there, the Bulls stay still because they're still fighting for their lives, and my Bruiser moves to try to entice his demon to charge me through the woods as soon as possible. Hunter moves up a little bit, and that's it for movement. Cannon can't shoot, nothing else happens so we go straight into combat, and in this one, I take a wound, and I do a wound back with close order. I win by 1. And for the first time in this game, I get lucky, and my opponent rolls really, really high, vaporizing the rest of the Furies, and my Bulls restrain and just kind of turn to face. That's really about it. So we go in the bottom of 2, and yeah, I forgot to take a picture. I'm sorry. What I can tell you is that his blood crushers did charge my Mornfang and make it, and he was able to do it in such a way that I think he took 1 dangerous terrain. He had to clip the woods with one of his guys, and he passed no problem. And other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of movement. His other Furies move around to kind of threaten my Iron Blaster and Noblars and stuff like that. And on the left flank, really, nothing happens. His Demon Prince moves over, and that's it. So you didn't really miss a lot. I still apologize for missing the picture. So like I said, nothing else happens during the turn. We go straight into combat, and his blood crushers rip my stupid ass Mornfang apart. Oh man, I couldn't get a break. Couldn't get a break at all. He ends up with 9 combat res. As you can see, I lost the Mornfang and half of another. He lost 1 wound off of his guys between making some incredible saves. I wasn't rolling terrible. My opponent was rolling kind of hot, which is fine. That's part of the game. He didn't do anything wrong, let's be clear. But yeah, his blood crushers beat my Mornfang's ass like it wasn't even a competition. He wins 9-3, so he wins by 6. And I take my break check, and I'm able to roll under my leadership. He does not outnumber me, so it's just fall back in good order. And he, of course, pursues, and he slams right back into me. This is going pretty bad, I gotta be honest. I'm not happy with my dice or my Mornfang right now, which is too bad. They usually do really well. So here's top of three after movement, and again, there's not a ton. My Iron Blaster goes into the Blood Crushers because I'm desperately trying to save my Mornfang. I don't know how that's going to work out. His caster up there, he did last turn. I forgot to mention he moved it through the woods a little bit more. Did fail his dangerous terrain and take a wound. He's got two, and I'll show you why in just a second. My Noblar's turn to look towards the what's it called, the Furies, just in case they get the urge to charge them. At a minimum, I'd like to be able to stand and shoot. And then on the left flank, my Bulls and my Bruiser move up a little bit in order to try to further entice the Demonettes. He keeps getting Demonic Familiar and Demonic Vessel off on the unit. I think he wants to charge. He just doesn't want to fail it. Really hoping that he goes for it, fails, and then maybe I'm able to charge with multiple units, getting a bunch of impact hits and reducing the amount of attacks he gets back at me. You'll see how that goes. My Hunter moves up a little bit more. He's going to take a pot shot at the Demon Prince, and that's it for movement. So in the strategic phase, when I was casting Glittering Robes, he tried to stop it with his Wounded Demon Prince and miscast 5, which was really, really good for me. The end result was one of his demonettes dying and him taking wound on the already wounded Demon Prince. So he's half dead. So come on, Hunter. Nope. Hunter fails spectacularly to even hit. God damn it. So we go into combat, and not good. My impact hits from the Iron Blaster were 2. Of course I roll a 1. I don't think I wounded with either of them or he made his saves. We go back and forth, and actually it was a much better combat. I did end up taking about 3 wounds onto my guys. I think the Iron Blaster was fine. But yeah, it was 6-7. My opponent won. I lose by 1. And both of my godforsaken units break and flee. Not fall back in good order, not give ground. They both break and flee. I couldn't believe how bad my dice rolling is. Now, that being said, I rolled really, really low for my flee for the Mornfang and for the Iron Blaster, but my opponent missed me by an inch. He rolled just as bad with Swift Stride. So, yeah, I didn't end up off the table. He didn't end up off the table, and we both just kind of stood there. I figured they were gone this turn anyway, but, well, you'll see what happens in a second. So we go to bottom of turn 3, and of course I fail you again. I forget to take the picture, but it was because my opponent did something I wasn't expecting. He actually decided to not charge into my Mornfang. They were fleeing. They were still fleeing. I hadn't had a chance to rally yet. But instead of charging with his Furies or his Blood Crushers, he decided to restrain. He passed his Impetuous chest with the Blood Crushers, and the Furies just ran over and got in front of the Noblars, thinking about charging them next turn or threatening them next turn, which makes sense. Other than that, his Demon Prince moved out of the way because he didn't like my Hunter taking pot shots at him, and that was really it. His Demonettes moved up a little bit, but they weren't really going to do anything. That was it for the entire turn. And with that, here's top of turn 4. Yay, my dumbass remembered to take a picture this time. And my Mornfang rally, which my opponent wasn't expecting. I don't know why. I have a bellower in there. It's very obvious, but I don't know what he was thinking. Yeah, maybe he thought they weren't going to rally. I'm not sure. Either way, they rally, they turn to face him, and we'll see what happens next turn. The rest of my stuff, my Hunter moves up a little bit more. I would have liked to go after his Demon Prince. It just wasn't in the cards, so I just kind of left him where he's at. And everything else just kind of stays put. There's no reason to move yet because honestly, this game, in my opinion, hinges on either my Mornfang dying or his Blood Crushers dying, and that's where my focus is at. The shooting phase is kind of hilarious. Nothing happens except the Noblar fighters use their sharp stuff, throwing it at the Harpies, and kill one. I thought that was great. Nothing else happened, so here's bottom of turn 4 after movement, and again, my opponent shocks me. He charges his Furies into the flank of my Mornfang. I mean, it's ballsy. It's what, 10 attacks at strength 5 into him. It could work. I didn't think of that. So yeah, this is crazy. His Blood Crushers do turn around to face them. I've kind of got him cornered with the Column of Crystal. And yeah, other than that, his Demonettes move up right to the edge of the woods. He doesn't take any dangerous terrain yet, but he's right there. I think he's trying to entice me to charge. I got to be honest, I'm thinking about it. His other Demon Prince just kind of moves farther away from the Hunter, just trying desperately not to get shot off the table. And that's it for movement. Nothing else happens, so we go into combat, and I get lucky. Finally, I get lucky. His harpies flub. They're not able to hurt me, not able to get anything through, so not even regen saves, just armor, and he rolled really bad to hit and wound. In return, I got, I believe, 2 wounds. I killed 2 of them, 2 or 3 of them, and I have a banner and close orders, so I win by about 3, which is significant. But it was not enough to make them fall apart. Actually, he rolls low enough where they don't take any damage. They just have to give 2 inches. I'm able to restrain because I think the Blood Crushers are the bigger threat, and I want to try to take them down. So this is my chance. It's all or nothing right here. All right, so here we are, top of 5. The Mournfang go back into the Blood Crushers. The Iron Guts kind of shift to look at the Demonettes just in case. I think they're trying to charge my Bruiser, so I move my Bruiser up a little bit in trying to get them into the woods. I want him to take a multitude of dangerous terrain checks. I know it won't affect combat res, but the more I can kill, the less I have to worry about. Maybe if I'm really lucky, he'll take enough damage to lose a rank, which would be huge. The Bulls back up a little bit so they can countercharge if they go into my BSB, because I'm confident in my Bruiser's ability to win that combat. And my Noblars, having a lot of fun killing Harpies, move up to throw at them again. And the Hunter moves up to take a pot shot at the Harpies as well, because why not? He hasn't done anything else this game. That's it for movement. At the beginning of the turn, my opponent did get the Vortex of Chaos off, and it did bounce through the impassable terrain, clipping the Iron Guts and the Noblars. That's why there's only about 7 Noblars left, and another wound on my poor Iron Guts. So yeah, those Vortexes are still doing their work. Nothing happens in shooting, because why would it? We go into combat, and finally, the Mournfang wake up and realize that I need them to perform. I kill all but one of the Blood Crushers. Dude's got a wound on him. I win 5-1. Oh, thank you, Mournfang. Thank you for finally coming forward and doing your job. As you can see, my opponent did end up rolling high enough that the last Blood Crusher exploded, and that's huge. The problem is I failed to restrain, so my flank is still exposed to the Furies, which I'm not thrilled about. There's 2 wounds on the unit, so he's only got to do 2 wounds with 8 attacks, needing 4s and 3s. I'm nervous. I'm real nervous at this point. I was hoping to turn to face him so I could get more attacks, so I could possibly defer the attack, but since he's already charged him to flank once, I don't see why he wouldn't do it again. Oh man, it literally comes down to this. If my Mournfang can survive, I've won. If they don't, I've lost, because there's no way for me to recoup. And so intense. Okay, bottom of turn 5. And yeah, the Furies go into the flank of the Mournfang. The whole game hinges on this. And I know it's a weird picture. If you look at the top right there, the Hunter's missing. My whole game crashed. I had to jump back on. The Hunter got moved around because Warhol is Warhol. It's a great system, great things, but it does occasionally bug out. It is what it is. His Demonettes did try to charge my Bruiser and failed spectacularly, actually, and didn't get close enough for me to really even consider countercharging. But he did lose a couple of guys, 1 or 2 from dangerous terrain. He only had to take like 6 or 7. I don't remember how many. But he did lose 1, so the plan is kind of working, kind of coming together. I'll take what I can get. But yeah, that's really all of his movement. I am literally biting my nails off. We go straight into combat, and it all comes crashing down. He does 3 wounds to my Mournfang. I get no attacks back. I've got nothing. I think I've got a banner. I know it shows the musician, but I don't know why it deletes him first. Probably because there's no unit champion. But no, the Bellower is dead. The banner is still there. So I have a banner. He wins by 3. I break, he pursues, and he runs me down. Oh. Come on, Mournfang. Damn it. I had it. I had the game, and now I just lost it. Oh, man. That was like a donkey punch to the solar plex. Just, oh no. That being said, very well played by my opponent. Super well played. So I'm going to be real here. We go to top of 6, and I debated for a good long time on whether or not I should charge into the Demonettes. I had the Bruiser. I probably had the Iron Guts. The Bulls just weren't going to do it. Maybe the Hunter where he was would have been able to get in there. I thought about it, I really did, and then I was like, he's got 3 ranks, 2 banners. One of those banners gives him D3, so at a minimum he's got +6 combat res before any dice are thrown. I'd have, if he did 0 wounds to me, a banner, a BSB, maybe a rank, and 2 close orders. No, no, he's going to do a boatload of damage. I did not get glittering robes off. I did get my regen off, so that's something. But he's hitting me on 3s, wounded me on 3s or 4s on my Iron Guts, and I just didn't have the confidence I would be able to win that combat. And even if I did win the combat, I would have had to kill a character. I would have had to direct attacks into his Demon Prince, which would have just further reduced the opportunity to actually get anything off. And even though I had my assailant spell off, he had his level 4 right there, could easily dispel it. I was not going to get the Noblars close, so I would have had to take a wound off one of my Iron Guts, which I don't want to do in close combat. So it's a tournament. I thought, if I did lose, I've lost by maybe 100, 200 points tops. So it's probably a 9-11 loss. I'd rather take the 9 than the 2. So I back off. I know, super long-winded way of saying I'm a huge coward and I ran away. That's it for my turn, though. I end my turn, and my opponent, he does try to charge me with his Demonettes again to get into the Bruiser, just to solidify his victory and get more battle points, which is totally smart. He failed to get in there because of the woods. He does take more dangerous terrain checks, loses 1 or 2 more of his Demonettes, and there it is. There's the end of the game. His Furies did come back on the table, because of course they did. But yeah, that's really it. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention. One of the reasons I didn't want to charge in was because he did get that gift of mutation off on my Bruiser, so his toughness was 3 and his weapon skill was like 2 at the moment. So charging into the Demonettes was just a terrible idea all around. I've got to give it to my opponent. He played his army beautifully. He was rolling really good for his saves. I will give him that. But other than that, he played very, very well. It was very tense, and in the end, he won the vital combat. His Furies were amazing. I should have paid more attention to them. Yeah, this was a rough one, but I did end up losing, and it was a 9-11 loss. So just barely lost, but it was still a loss, and I only cried for 45 minutes. Speaking of crying for 45 minutes, though, I'm excited to get into the recap, so let's get to it. This was probably one of the more difficult games I ever played. Not because it was a bad game, it was just I had no openings. My opponent never gave me any. Like the only opportunities I had, unfortunately, my indecisiveness didn't really let me capitalize on them, and I usually rely on my dice to help me through my bad decisions, and they did not have my back this game, unfortunately. Once, but it was unfortunate, and yeah, is what it is. The Blood Crusher Mordfang combat was pivotal. The whole game hinged on it. If I had won that and been able to turn to face the Furies and defeated them, this game would have gone my way, because I just would have backed away from the Demonettes and not had to deal with them. Unfortunately, it did not go that way. It went the opposite, and my opponent played it beautifully. In hindsight, and hindsight's always 2020, I should have shifted my Iron Guts to support the Mournfang. If the the Iron Guts had turned around in order to deal with the Furies, in order to deal with the Blood Crushers, who knows, I might have been able to finish them off quicker and then pivot around and possibly done something about the Demonettes and the Demon Princes. I'm not that good of a player, so that didn't come to mind whatsoever. I blame myself. The Furies were the MVP of this game, though, zero doubt. Yes, his Blood Crushers did amazing, but in the end they failed, and the Furies didn't. In fact, they survived multiple rounds of combat with the Mournfang and ended up running them down afterwards. So if you're watching this, never underestimate Furies, because they will bite you in the ass, quite literally. After the Mournfang fell, all I could do was mitigate the amount that I lost by. I realized I had hedged all my bets on that, and I lost. That's why it's called that's why it's called bad decision making. Let's be honest. Oh, it was a phenomenal game, though. All that being said, this was an intense game, played very well by a very skilled opponent, and I open invitation for a rematch anytime he wants because I like playing people that are damn good at this game, and he was. Ah, yes. I lost, but I did put some more on the plate, so I'm pretty happy about that. The Tithe is still going to be impressive. I got none of his characters. I tried. My hunter apparently is cross-eyed. I don't know what his problem was this game. In core, though, I was able to kill 10 of his Furies in total. There were 14 on the table, only 4 when the game was over. So I'll take that, bringing my total up to 17. Since this number hasn't moved in months, this feels pretty good. And then I think like 3 of his demonettes died to dangerous terrain. So let's hear it for the Wood Elves for planting those trees all those years ago. There was nothing left in core special, so we go to rare. There was obviously no soul grinder, but there were some blood crushers, 3 of them, and that's a first on this list, so I'm feeling great about that. And of all the blood crushers to get, I'm glad I was able to kill these because they were elite as hell. And then I like to just kind of look at the numbers of Chaos Dwarves and Orcs and Goblins that I've killed. The numbers just keep going up, and that makes me happy. And we can just take a minute to appreciate how many humans I have killed and sent to the Great King Hotep. Move the High Elves over next to their neglected Dark Elf cousins. No changes here, I just like to look at the numbers. Ah, yes, the Dead Wood Elves and Tomb Kings. Haven't run into those guys in a little while. I'd like to kill some more soon. But that's going to do it for this one. Another battle report in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. But as always, thanks!